Hello and welcome to the Philippines. Rainy day, I went for a walk. I was going to take a taxi. There were no taxis available when I was looking for one, so I decided I had my umbrella with me. Decided to take a walk. Always good for a walk. Wasn't raining very hard, more of a sprinkle the whole way. So anyway, I'm going to cover a number of topics during this walk. Point out a few things along the way. Across the street over there is a hospital. I believe it's Vicente Soto, I believe. Anyway, just to mention a couple things about traveling. We continue to see here in December 2021. We continue to see fewer and fewer cases. Metro Manila in the news today. Metro Manila now at minimal risk for COVID-19, and I'm just going to mention a couple of other things in the news here. A few days ago, it came out in the paper that we've got here in Cebu City. We've got the Tri-Cities. We've got Cebu City. We've got Mandaue City, and we've got across on Mactan Island. We've got Lapu-Lapu City, and those Tri-Cities, I think Lapu-Lapu and Mandaue City were considered under herd immunity because of the number of people who had been vaccinated. And also quite a number of other cities, I think over 20 other cities were considered the same under herd immunity, where enough people have had vaccines and or recovered from the virus so that you have herd immunity. And there's discussions about what percentage of the people that has to be, and they've changed it over the months in the last 2 years. But anyway, some other chief, a DILG department chief, clarifies 23 cities achieve population protection, not herd immunity. So a matter of semantics, I think, a matter of the meaning of the term, and like many different agencies and people have different definitions of what either of those are. So the important point being is that the risk of spreading the disease, even apparently this new what is Omicron. Apparently, everything we're hearing out of South Africa and around the world, and from the WHO, World Health Organization, is that it's transmits more easily, but it is more like a bad cold. It is less severe, and I don't think they've had any deaths. I don't know that they've had any hospitalizations. I think in fact in South Africa, where they one of the first places they found it, probably spread prior to them finding it there. But all the people who were found to have it had gone to the hospital for different reasons, not because of what they thought was a viral infection. And then their policy is to test everybody that comes to the hospital, and that's how they found it. And here's another little note. Almost 600 hospitals in the Philippines, no COVID-19 admission in the last 5 days. So those kind of things that kind of news. They're going to open up the Philippine Basket Association is going to open games back up to the people, and that continues to be the case. Now, LGUs, local government units, can set their own rules, and these guys, it really makes it confusing. It makes it very difficult for anybody planning to travel anywhere domestically in the Philippines. Makes it very difficult for anybody wanting to travel internationally. Makes it very difficult for businesses to plan anything if they have to hire people and plan ahead, if they have to order inventory and plan ahead. With politicians around the world I won't just focus on the Philippines. It's a veterinary clinic here. Politicians around the world changing rules every 1-2 weeks. They really do major damage to the economy. And I'll leave it at that. That's a whole long discussion in itself. When this is all over, more and more data is showing that more damage has been done by the lockdowns than any virus ever would have. Anyway, life in the Philippines. I guess if I had to be stuck someplace, I guess it would be here. You know, if I wasn't here back in the USA, I would probably get bored rather quickly, unless I was traveling around the U.S. And there again, the states in the U.S. have different rules, just like Europe. They keep changing their rules, travel rules as well, much of Europe. Mexico would be one of the options. Mexico has, I've watched a video recently that they're making it a little more difficult for people to move to Mexico permanently with a higher income level you need. But then somebody commented on that video saying, oh, it really depends upon what part of Mexico you're going to. Actually will make it easier, less expensive to move to certain parts of Mexico. And a news clip I read the other day, some number of people on what do you call them, ski-doos, water ski type things. They come upon a beach area in Cancun, very popular tourist area, and open fire with guns up towards the beach area. And apparently there are quite a number of areas in Mexico where there is a different drug cartels are fighting over territory, with one wanting to move into another territory. So those are always possibilities in Mexico and other countries. So as far as crime here in the Philippines, pickpocketing is a big part of crime in certain areas. In fact, just up here a little bit, I'm going to have a kid as I cross the street up around Mango Square. I'm going to have a kid harass me for a bit for money. And in the end, I gave him a little bit. I had him agree, because he's harassed me before walking down the street, and just won't leave me alone. I want more. And I made him agree that if I give him some change, he will leave. Promise me. And he promised. And I said, okay, you promised. Don't lie to me. And he reluctantly left me that particular time. But I'll just take a different course when I walk from now on, I guess. Much of the other crime seems to be drug related. Almost every day you read about some drug personality getting shot. Other times there are personal grudges, a number of cases like that. Now this area right up here, this is standing at the corner. I'm across the road, across the street is an area that's called Mango Square. Down that way, about one long block is Fuente Osmena Circle, big traffic circle. A couple hotels. There's 2 Robinson's malls. Here's a kid here. He's always hanging out up in this general area, asking for money. Probably makes more than a lot of the guys working. But anyway, walks far too close. You know, if you would be polite and less persistent. I think next time I see him, maybe I'll try to find out a little more about him and see if I can help find him a job or something. Maybe. Although there are risks in getting involved. I don't know how old he is. If he's a minor, legally you're not supposed to get involved with anybody like that. So I guess that, you know, he might be 18 or older. It's really hard to tell with a lot of Filipinos. They look younger than they are. So I think I'll, just after thinking about that, just a couple of seconds, I think I'll not do that. Anyway, I'm walking down Mango Avenue, what's known by many as Mango Avenue. We've got a lot more of the modern jeepneys, modern jeeps, modern less polluting jeepneys, as well as modern buses. A number of different companies running buses. And along the streets here, you've got all kinds of places to eat. Bakeries and little places that sell lechon, sell the pork belly, chicken, roasted chickens. Across the road, over there used to be the Fuda grocery store. They had 3 or 4 in the Cebu City area, and they closed them all down I think about a month ago. Just went out of business, partly due to this crisis, I believe. And Mango Square back there where we were, that used to be an entertainment area, probably 4 years ago. And then it started changing. The bars started, I don't know, the last mayor didn't like the reputation it was getting. There were bars, there were discos, a lot of people hanging out 10, 11, 12 o'clock on into the early morning hours. And here you got Philly Sports Bar and Restaurant back in there. And he used to have the London Cafe, or Cafe London,
bikini bar, I think.
back in the off Ascario Street.
BG's bar, Viking.
And across the street you got Bamboozer's Bar. So anyway, with the bars that now exist, they're kind of spread out. You have Philly Bar, across the street, Bamboozer's Bar. You've got pharmacy here. You've got a couple of bikini bar type places. You've got a bar up here at the corner and to the right. Used to be called El Gecko. The guy that formerly owned Howling Dog bought it. And the guy that owned El Gecko, I think he lost that in a divorce or separation with his Filipino wife. And anyway, he's just opened up a new place up on Ascario Street and Gorordo Avenue, up by the kind of where they cross, up in that area. I stopped in there the other day just to check it out. There are a number of hotels that are open with bars, but they have various rules. Sometimes I think they're supposed to be vaccinated only in a lot of these places, and there again the rules change by the week. So any given week, if you don't see the latest update, you're not sure what's going on here. I walk a lot, and I interact with the Filipinos a lot. I greet people, hello, good morning, good afternoon, and 99% of the time I get a very good response, and it always helps to be friendly first, as I've mentioned before. They don't know who you are, they don't know what language you speak, what your intentions are, and when you greet them, many Filipinos understand English. Some are not comfortable speaking English, and they might tell you that. Even I've had taxi drivers that they tell me, oh no, I don't, very little English, and yet I have a very good conversation with them in English. So they think that they don't speak very good English, but in fact many of them do. But now I have had my first taxi driver here. I was in Premier City Suites, which isn't very far from Fuente Osmena Circle and the Mango Square area. And I got in a cab, and the guy didn't understand very much English, and I told him I wanted to go to Premier City Suites. And he kept repeating, City Suites, City Suites, City Suites, and he took me to a place that is actually called City Suites. And I knew that wasn't where I was staying. Now this particular bridge, any given time, there seems to be a number of people who live underneath the bridge. Many years ago, there were lots of little huts and stuff down the sidewalk that went down along that canal. And they cleaned them all out before one Sinulog big festival in January. Anyway, there are areas here, like this is USC,
North Campus.
and that is not University of South Carolina or University of Southern California. But there are some areas where the sidewalks are very good, and then other areas where they're almost quite an obstacle course, impossible. So you end up walking in the street. But anyway, I walk a lot. I only a few times, very few times, I had what you might call just an uncomfortable or a bad encounter. One time I was on kind of an industrial street, and the guy was a little bit, I don't know if he was on drugs or what, but he followed me quite a while, asking for money. And after about 2 blocks, I finally convinced him to leave me alone. That I was walking because I didn't have money. But I think he may have had some mental issues, because other people along the way lived on that street. That they would kind of laugh at him. They understood that. They understood what I was having to endure, I think. Ambulance. Another time, I had walked quite a while, and I had sat down at what would be considered a bus stop, I guess, and it was in the evening, in the dark time, to rest my feet a while, and three guys, I don't know, late teens, maybe 20s, walked by, and then they stopped right after they got past me. Nobody else on the street. And I stood up, and I usually carry an umbrella. I stood up with my umbrella like in a defensive position, and they continued on their way. And I decided I better leave just in case they bring back reinforcements. And there's been a couple other times I just got some a look here and there. You know, not everybody appreciates foreigners. You know, they might have had a bad experience with a foreigner from someplace. They don't appreciate foreigners coming in and tell them how to run their lives. How you know, in America or in Europe, we do things this way. You should do it our way. They don't appreciate that. The other thing you're going to encounter if you're walking in the Philippines, now this is a chain of massage parlors, is dogs on the street. And lots of dogs, and some have collars, most of them don't. Street dogs, I guess. Most of them are not aggressive, and most of them are not friendly. You know, they might look like they're friendly, but they're only interested if you have some food for them, and then I would suggest you don't put your hand out and hold the food, because they might take your hand with it. A number of occasions I have sat down and I've kneeled down and tried to get them to come to me, and they'll back off, get very defensive, and sometimes even aggressive. So stay away from the animals unless you know that animal. One of the biggest issues they have in hospitals here is animal bites. Dogs, cats, whatever else, especially out in the once you get out of the city, I guess. My experience with most animals, dogs, horses and such in America, the United States, in America, is that I've had very good luck with dogs, especially that don't know me. And people said, "Oh, our dog usually doesn't take to strangers," but they took to you right away. They were friendly with you. And so I kind of expected that here, and it just is not the case. 95% of the time they become very aggressive if I hold out my hand like I want to come here and, you know, pet them. Anyway, here's a bank. Lots of people waiting to get in the bank. One thing you're going to experience in the Philippines is lines. Lines in the grocery store. Lines going almost anywhere. Lines to get into the bank. And anyway, coming up to a corner here, which is Gorordo. And going to take a left, go across and take a left. one thing I bought was a new pair of shoes. I've got a pair of tennis shoes, and I've got a pair of I call them walking shoes, but they're more like water moccasins or something. They because there's when it rains, you can see there will be puddles and such, and if you get close to the sea, you want to go walking in the water. Sometimes it's not sandy, it's a bit rocky, and you want to have shoes on when you walk there. So anyway, they drain out and they dry out very quickly. And you always want to you see these painted white strips, when they get wet, they're very slippery. And there are other places too. You can be walking on the sidewalk and all of a sudden you don't see any changes, but the type of concrete, something changes in the concrete. And and if it's wet, what seemed to be okay, all of a sudden it's slippery. Well, that is Cebu Lofts. That is a new condominium project. I have video of that, and I don't know if anybody's living there yet. They're associated, owned, operated by Crown Regency, I believe. And somebody mentioned there might be an issue with the property itself. I'm not sure. Crossing the road here, I had the walk light, but you can assume if you're driving or walking that even after the light turns green or walk, for you there's going to be several other vehicles coming through. So be careful if you're walking or driving. Green light does not mean the coast is clear. This walk took me about 40 minutes, 40 minutes to walk over here from where I started. And because it was slippery, I walked a little bit slower, was a little more careful. I can do it maybe in 30 minutes if a dry day and I'm in a hurry and at a faster clip, but it was a nice walk. And it was a Friday. Friday usually is a busy traffic day, busier than normal. The mall had for 19 months, the malls have been pretty much deserted. When I got there, the first couple hours did not have many people there. Then as the day went on, there were more people, a lot of young people, stop and get something to eat here and there. But I didn't see very few people carrying packages that you would normally see people doing. Few people were shopping and buying, but I talked to a number of people when I was there, waitresses and such, and they said, yeah, we're working 3, maybe 4 days a week tops, and what money we have, many of our family members are out of work because of this crisis. We don't have any money to spend extra. We need to spend that money to help support our families. So that's kind of the situation here. As far as travel, tourist travel, I suspect it'll be at least March or so before and that's if this last variant doesn't end up being a variant of concern, as they state. You've got the police station, and I think it's might be an army base as well, not positive. But anyway, the things just are not moving very slow here, and all the agency heads and the politicians that are involved in this, everything you hear from them is, well, when we open up, we're going to do it very carefully. So everything that you hear seems to say it's going to be a very gradual reopening, and then if something happens that they don't like, then they can shut right back down real quickly, just like they've done a number of times. So most tourists are around the world pretty much. They don't trust the governments to when they set a time that they're going to open up. They don't trust the governments anymore. So most tourists are just going to wait it out. and that it would be the safe thing. There, on the other hand, there are expats. There are people with family here, with relationships, with businesses who will travel. They will take the risk. I know that several of you are in that group of people. You've got relationships, and you might be engaged, whatever. Anyway, we're going to take a right here, and this is here. I'm at Ayala, just a couple blocks from that corner, and you've got Rustin's department store there. You've got Park Point condominium right in the center to the left, and then you've got Alcoves. They're right in the center, brand new condominium. Then you've got Solinea condominiums here. Very convenient. Anyway, I've done videos on all of those, so check out my other videos. Thanks for coming. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.